coming up. Did you wait a long time for that?
I did. This is another one of those where you have to get there early. And if you go to the Great Falls, this is shot on the Virginia side. Yeah, and you see a lot of shots taken from the overlooks. This is one where you have to crawl down the rocks to get to where the kayakers go, and then you got to rock hop all the way out to the end so you can get closer to the water. But then you do that, and it's semi-dark, so you have to be really careful. But yes, I did wait for that one, for the sun to come out, and it put a beautiful pink light on the mist that was coming up from the water. And it just so happened it shot this between some objects. It shot this white light straight across the water, which lit up that one little part of the water, which I really liked.
And this was a 2-second exposure. That's how you got it to have that quality about the water and the mist.
Yes, I like to shoot waterfalls, so that the waterfalls is something else I like to shoot. Where the shutter speed is slow enough to where you can see the motion in the water, but not. I'm not one that really likes the really silky, long exposures, but just enough to where you can see movement in the water, but still see some detail in the water.
And another waterfall shot next. We have Blackwater Falls State Park in West Virginia. Another image that just kind of trails back, and you've got your eye goes right to those waterfalls in the back. It looks like you're actually in the water in this shot. Are you in the water?
Very close. I was standing right on the edge, and the nice thing about this one, what I liked about it, I walked all around this particular waterfall and the little path of water, trying to find that particular S-curve. So in the waterfall shot, you're looking for the little S-curve that leads you in and winds you around to the particular waterfall. But this one was, again, another one that, there was a series of 3 waterfalls in this. This is Ellicala Falls 1, and then further down there's 2 and 3. A little harder to get to. This one was right near an inn, which is really nice. But again, it's a relatively slow shutter speed, wide angle lens, and looking for that S-curve of the water to help lead you into the picture.
And the colors are really rich in this image. Had it been raining that day, or?
It had been raining, and it was nice and overcast, which makes the colors saturated and very sharp. I really liked how the colors came out. This was a spring, so in the springtime you get a lot of that really sharp, bright green moss on the rocks.
Yeah, it's very contrasty. It's nice. And then this next one, you were in the water in this one, weren't you?
Yes, I do. So some of these I do have to get into the water, and sometimes the water is very cold, and I don't have waders yet, but that's something I probably in the future will need to get. But this is another one of those that was a kind of a unique area, in that these rocks, because of the acid coming down from upstream factories and mills, doesn't allow any moss to grow on these. This shot and the previous shot were taken one day apart. So the other one had all this moss and green, and this one has none. It's just these orange color rocks where you could see where the acid from the water was hitting it. So you don't want to get in the water too long.
Right, exactly, because who knows what's in there.
Exactly.
And then we have a faster water shot. At least the water looks like it's moving faster in this next one. Are you under the waterfall?
No, this was actually taken with a longer lens, so I used a 7200 for this one. And this was at Blackwater Falls, the falls themselves. But there was so much water that day, the main falls, it just didn't look very good. So this was a very small part of that was off to the very far right. And to me, what I liked about it is it looked like a bridal veil, and that's why I call this a bridal veil, just because it's like a thin veil of water, and you can see behind it and see the details of the rocks behind it.
It's very nice. It's a different approach to a waterfall shot. Now, you went to a closed-down silk mill in Maryland, in Lanconing. It's so empty, and there's not many people in there, but it's still full of all of the machinery. In this next black and white photo you have, how did you find this?
Well, this was great. This was this Lonaconing silk mill was closed in 1957, and basically the insides haven't changed. And they opened it up a little over a year ago to photographers. I think it's at least a year ago, to photographers to come in and do workshops, come in individually and take pictures, and it really takes you back to the 50s. All the different types of equipment that they have in there. It's 3 levels, very large factory, 3 levels, and this particular shot, I was again a manually created HDR, in that the light source, the window light source in the back was too bright when I took the regular shot, so I took a second shot, sandwiched the two, made an extra layer, and then just basically painted over the window so that the right exposure of the light came through.
It's very contrasting. It works that you did that.
Yeah, sometimes I do black and white and colors. This one's black and white because I wanted to make it look like the photo was taken back in the 50s. So it's some of the filters I used. Again, I used Nick filters. Kind of gave it that grainy look.
So this next image, you're still in the silk mill, and it's black and white, but you've got a little pop of color in there with the bottle. How did you decide that you wanted to leave some color in this photograph?
This was one of those that I just love that green bottle and the contrast to the rest of the really dark, dingy stuff that's on the workbench. This is one where I used a little bit of light painting using a very small handheld flashlight. To paint in some extra light to really make the bottle stand out. And I don't normally mix black and white and color like that, but in this particular experiment, I liked how it came out.
So the light painting and in the next few images we have, you were using the light painting, is just when it's a little dark and you've got a longer exposure, you've got your camera set on your tripod, and you're just going to highlight some of the points in the frame that you feel have importance.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Unlike shooting a big flash where everything is covered, you can very selectively put with the light where you want it.
And here in the you're in the bathroom of the silk mill. It looks like the paint's peeling off the walls, and it's very gritty.
Yes, and that's perfect. Thank you. That's exactly what I was going for. I wanted this to show how really deteriorated the building has become with the paint peeling off the walls, and just to show that, get that feel from that.
It's very nice. And then we have a color shot with the red and the brick, and this is a long exposure too. Is this 5 seconds long?
Yes, this is a 5-second exposure, and again, some of this was very dark, like inside of the oven, very dark. So I used a flashlight to light up inside there. With 5 seconds, you have lots of time actually to light up different areas to really highlight the parts that you want. So this was, although it may look like an HDR exposure, it really wasn't. That was just a single shot.
Very cool. And this is one of your favorites.
Yes.
The shoes. How low to the ground were you when you were shooting this?
Actually, for this one, I didn't have to get too low because the shoes were on a bench.
Oh.
So with the bench elevated, I didn't have to get too low. But I mean, I had to crouch down to get to that level, because again, you want to get to that level. I want to get to that level, so I'm not shooting on top of it.
Yeah.
I want to feel like you're right in there. But I just love the colors and the texture of that particular picture.
Yeah, they feel like they've been there.
Yes.
And now we move out. We've got some architectural shots. This is very nice, the way you've mimicked the curves with the scooters and the motorcycle.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, this was taken in Barcelona of Gaudi's Casa Mia, and I shot it just like that on purpose. This is a 100-year-old building, or over a 100-year-old building. It's been probably shot 1 million times, and so tried to find something a little unique, and so just happened to find those scooters there that had those curves that really mimicked, I thought, what the shape of the building.
It's very sculptural, and when we move into the next image of the same building, the chimneys, it feels like a sculpture.
It does, and I think that's the unique part of that whole modernista era of architecture, is that they did some really fun things like this. That they took these chimneys and made it look like sculptures, and if you walk around on the roof and try to find, this is on top of the roof, and find the right framing of the image, you can come up with some pretty unique shots.
And then we have, you're in Spain and you're in the bull ring here, this color photograph. We've seen a lot of bold black and whites, but it's a very bold color photograph.
Yeah, this one I like that pop of blue in the corner, but this one to me was a masculine feminine type arrangement, where the structure of itself, of the columns itself, were very masculine, very strong, and then you had what I felt like were the feminine curves of the seating that goes around, and it just kind of then leads you right out of the picture.
Yeah, you do kind of get pulled out of it. And now this is a different photograph moving on than a lot of the other ones. You've got a person in this next one.
Yeah, I'm not a big person shooter. I don't have a lot of people in my pictures, but this particular one I liked. And this one is all about timing and waiting. There's a little boy in this picture on a little red scooter, and that little boy was fast, and he was going all around this statue and going all over the place, and I waited until he just got to the right spot so that he's mimicking what the statue is doing, both looking out into the future, and once he got into that position, I rapid fired as many shots as I could just to try to capture that.
Past and future is what it's called, and that's very fitting, the image. And then moving on, we're back to the black and white, and this is incredible. This probably only happens about once per day, the way the shadows line up with the crypt steps. Yeah,
this is old crypt in Cardona, Spain, and crypt was built in 981 AD. But right, it's the shadows were really wonderful, and to me it showed, it looked like coming out of the crypt was the dark shadow reaching out to the light, and the light shadow reaching down to help it out. And that's exactly how it was. There wasn't any manipulation in that particular image.
And that's you waiting,
it's
the timing.
Waiting and timing and yes. And a lot of the shots are like that. You just have to get and wait and get to the right lighting, if there's people in it, doing the right things.
And then we have the Arboretum columns at sunset. Now, I know a lot of us have seen images of this, but this is a different take on it.
Right. I have that same shot that everyone else has, with the flowers in the front and the columns up on the hill and the beautiful clouds behind it, and I have that same shot, but I wanted something a little different, a different way of looking at that, and really focused on the shadows and the flooring, where because the light was low, all the spacing between the floor was very I think bright, in that it stood out very, very strongly, and I like the strong lines of the shadows as coming out.
For more information about Chuck Campbell's photographs, please contact him using the information on your screen. Taking photographs really is a lifelong opportunity to learn. Thank you so much for coming in today to discuss your work.
Thank you, Erica, for having me on the show.
Join us next time for Behind the Lens.